This is AgriCountry, brought to you in part by Alice Chalmers and your nearby Alice Chalmers dealer. And here's your host for AgriCountry, Ed Johnson.
Hi, everybody. This week on AgriCountry, we're going to take you to a weekly livestock auction at Producers Livestock down at Lancaster. From there, we'll take you to the dairy operation of Ken and Lois Stauffer up in Morrow County near Edison, Ohio. A couple of months ago, they were selected by the Ohio Farm Bureau as the outstanding young farm couple in the state. From there, we'll take you to Mount Gilead, to the FFA chapter, where those young people built their own farm shop. That's all coming up here on AgriCountry right after these messages. Certainly a part of rural Americana is the weekly auction, and this week the AgriCountry cameras take you to the auction place. This week, Producers Livestock Auction at Lancaster, Ohio, and we'd like to take you inside now where you really see the action. Terry, nice to be back home. They say that is good over time will not change. And as I go back through the yards, not much has changed at Producers Livestock at Lancaster, Ohio. I still see all species coming through, but what would be the most popular species of livestock week in and week out?
Most would be our fat cattle. We have our farmers that'll come in and buy their feeder cattle out of here, and they'll feed the cattle, come back through the yards with them. We get a good run of fat cattle. We've got a good buyer's representation on our fat cattle. A lot of our fat cattle go Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all around. We haven't got a lot of local buyers in the state of Ohio anymore. We ship a lot of cattle out of state.
How do you account for the fact we usually think of Northwest Ohio as being feedlot country for cattle, but here we are south of Columbus by about 30 to 40 miles?
Well, we go back to go down the road, you see a lot of going into the grain, but we've still got a lot of people that feeds cattle in our area. We still like to have more. I think that the beef is something people's going to be eating a lot of, and we need more beef producers, I feel like, in our area yet too.
Are most of your feeders in a cow-calf operation that goes ahead and takes the calf and feeds it out, or are the fellows coming to Producers to buy feeder calves?
Well, we've got more people coming and buying feeder calves in this area because they've tucked the farm ground is too valuable today to run cows on. You've got more, your grain is more expensive in ground than what you can run your cows on. They've tore the fences out and farmed it. We're back into a lot of grain around here, but a lot of farmers come in and buy their feeder cattle, and we get feeder cattle out of state for them.
We're in the rolling country, Terry, in this part of the state, the area that you serve. You seen any change in sheep numbers, lamb numbers that are coming to market?
Yeah, our lamb numbers are down. We have a lot of big feeders around. We did have a lot of big feeders around. Some of them has died off. Our lamb market hasn't been real good all over the state. It's come back in the last month. It's come back to where it kind of should be, but still we could use a higher price for the farmers on all of our species of livestock.
With the economy that we're in, cheaper corn, cheaper soybeans, cheaper oats, are you seeing an expansion of livestock, whether we be talking cattle, hogs, sheep, or lambs?
Well, I think you'll see more expansion into the hogs right now, and the cattle's coming up, but the sheep numbers are not coming up with the hogs and the cattle.
Why do you think a guy would be expanding in hogs when we're looking at low 40s and so?
Well, we got the futures. Our futures prices is real good for us. We got the futures up, and your July future, I think today, it runs almost 50 cents. So we got a program where the farmers can buy on futures and sell on futures and lock in a profit right now.
When you're trying to run a local auction, a weekly auction, how much will the weather affect you?
Well, like today, we've had in the last 2 days, we had a wind chill factor down to 59 below zero, and that don't encourage them to get out and get too much livestock in. Though the packers has got to have livestock to keep that slaughter flow going, because they got to pay the people that works for them whether they have the livestock in there or not, and they're getting a pretty good wage, so they still got to have the livestock here. So we get on the phone and tell the farmers we need some livestock, and most generally they get it out there and get it to us unless the roads are so bad that they can't get out.
You know, Terry, when I was in vocational Bureau of Agriculture and FFA here at Lancaster, Producers Livestock, gave me my first loan to buy about 15 head of feeder cattle. And at that time, we would come down here and there'd be these good old boys that would never miss an auction week in and week out. And I don't think the hands of time have changed one bit. We could roll the clock right back to 1952, 53. Looks much the same.
Yep, we got fellas that's been here. When you look up in the crowd, you'll see them every week. They're here every week. Maybe they might not buy no cattle they'll buy cattle in the fall and in the spring, but they're here, right here watching, and they're kind of watching for a bargain.
What are some of the challenges in running a weekly auction?
Well, right now, in this time of the year, is our headage is down because of, like I say, the bad weather, and it just got to, right now, like I say, there's a lot of people that's not feeding as many livestock as we did in this area before. But it's getting them in. You got to get out and talk to farmers and get the livestock in and help the farmers with them. Like you was talking about the loan, we've got that deal there where we can loan the farmers some money, and Clyde Longwell is out of Columbus. He's our loan fellow up there, and he kind of helps us with, if we need any help with the farmers, we can help them anyway. Get on the phone and get him down here. That kind of helps us get livestock in the area. It's numbers is what makes your market go.
So the PLA's responsibility is to provide a service to sell livestock, and in turn you offer to the client a service charge, in other words, so that you can handle the livestock.
Right. That's what we got, a service charge on all the animals come through. We try not to get it any higher than what we have to keep our markets going.
Let's take, for example, a 1,000-pound steer. What kind of service charge would be on him to come through the auction?
Today, our service charge is $3.50 a head plus a 0.7% on the animal.
What about a hog that's ready to go to market?
Well, on our hog market, there's no service charge. We buy the hogs daily. The packer helps pay the service charge.
Now, other than cattle, where would the hogs go to slaughter from here?
Well, in the east right now, there's not a lot of hogs. We've got numbers down out in there, and we're sending a lot of hogs that way. We send a lot of hogs to Virginia. In the east, we send a lot down through. We got a local packer here out of Pennsylvania that takes 150 of our hogs every week out of here.
Are your lambs going east as well?
Yes, they will be going east. Yeah, we sell a lot of lambs that way. And a lot of our lambs, some lambs go to Michigan also. A lot of our lambs go to Michigan.
With the deregulation of trucking, has that caused a better situation for you, or is it difficult to find truckers?
Well, we've got several farmers around here that's got the 16 and the 20-foot gooseneck that really helps us out in getting animals into our markets here. They've not really a lot of them bought the big truck anymore. They're back to the gooseneck trailer. They can buy the pickup truck and go to town and get the groceries, and they can use it all weekend, and they want the trailer on Tuesday, they can back in, hook up, and go.
Is it difficult to keep feed and hay for any livestock that you keep on hand here at the yards?
No, we've got a lot of good farmers around that bale a lot of hay and straw, and the phone rings quite often wanting to sell me hay and straw, which is good.
This week, the AgriCountry camera is taking you into Morrow County. In fact, we're only about 12 miles east of Marion, Ohio, and nice to be at the farm home of Ken and Lois Stauffer. And Ken, a little bit different kind of an operation in that we're not talking about a lot of acres.
Okay, I just leased 20 acres. The facilities are included in that 20 acres.
But I understand you do have some land away from here, but that somebody else even farms that.
Right. That's a different operation, and that's about 30 miles away from here.
How many cows are you milking now?
I'm milking 87 right now.
And pretty soon we're going to go out to the milking parlor with Ken. Lois also involved with what happens outside at this dairy operation, taking care of the calves. Lois, how many calves now on feed?
About 10 calves on milk.
How many total animals are here at the farm now?
About 200.
And that's a lot of animals. This is a farm couple that's had a lot of recognition in the last 6 months. They have been selected by the Milk Marketing Incorporated people as the top young couple, and also by the Ohio Farm Bureau as the outstanding young farm couple in all of Ohio. That's a tremendous honor, Ken.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
What have been some of the joys that have come with those honors?
Well, we received 2 trips because of that. Through Milk Marketing, we went to the National Milk Producers Federation in Las Vegas, and we learned how that operated. And also in Farm Bureau, we went to San Diego to the National American Farm Bureau Convention.
You have
two little guys. Johnny's about 2.5, and Ben's a little past 4. Enjoyable to have those guys around, isn't it?
It is. The farm is just the best place to raise kids, we're convinced.
Expound upon that a little bit more.
There's so many things for them to do. There's a lot of room for them to run around and get rid of a lot of energy, and there's things they can help us do, and they know what Daddy does during the day. He doesn't go away to some job. They see what he does, and they're learning early.
Let's talk a little bit more to Dad as we talk about economics of 82. We've had much better situations in agriculture. But what about a young dairyman? How do you look upon 82?
Well, I'm in dairying to stay. I think it's going to be hard getting started, but I feel if there's a will, there's going to be a way.
At what age did you begin farming, and what age are you now?
Okay, I'm 29 years old now, and I started in the dairy industry about 9 years ago, but on my own I started approximately 3 years ago.
Any suggestions that you might give to a young fellow that's trying to get established in farming?
Well, it's important to have a lot of records and look through records and make sure that things pencil out, because especially in this year, it's going to be a little harder.
Any idea how much time you might put to record keeping?
We keep approximately maybe 1 hour a day.
I want to come back to Lois for just a moment, because you were baking some pies out here. Evidently, you also get very much involved as the homemaker.
Yes, I put up food in the summer, do canning and freezing, and I guess the traditional things.
And with that, we're going to take you now out to the milking parlor and talk more with Ken out there. Ken, certainly nice to be right out here in the milking parlor with you. How many cows are you milking now?
I'm milking 87 right now.
How long have you been milking?
On my own, I've been milking 3 years, and altogether, I've had experience with it for 9 years.
Explain to our listening friends the actual setup that you have here in this operation.
Okay, I leased 20 acres right here. They're just facilities. My landlord, which is Clarence Gruber, he grows all the feed, and I buy feed off of him on a monthly basis.
So you're saying to us that you can actually buy the feed and be successful in the milking operation?
Well, I'm doing it. I think it's a good setup for me, because I didn't have to buy the land and buy the equipment. Otherwise, I don't believe I would have been able to start on my own.
You own the cows?
Yes, I do. Me and FHA.
Ken, what's the arrangement? Do you receive all the proceeds from the milk?
Yes, I do. I pay a monthly cash rent to my landlord, Clarence, and then I also every month pay all the feed that I use during that month, like corn silage and haylage and hay and corn notes, and that way I don't have to invest money in the seed and fertilizer and stuff like that.
Where do you ship your milk to?
It goes to Borden's in Columbus through MMI, which is Milk Marketing.
And again, I want to mention that you and Lois, the top young farm couple of Milk Marketing, what really is their purpose?
Milk Marketing markets our milk, and they advertise and they promote our product, and they guarantee a butterfat differential too.
How do you feel about the promotion of dairy products? Is there enough being done by dairying farmers such as yourself?
I don't think so, because obviously we have a surplus, and I think one of the best ways to get rid of a surplus is to market it. And we either have to produce less or market more, and I think we might have to do a little bit of both.
Ken, cow numbers are building up. We've had an excellent year of production. How much does this surplus problem concern you?
Well, obviously I'm young and I want to be in the dairy business another 30 or 40 years, so I am concerned and am looking at different alternatives as to the price support program right now.
In this situation, 87 cows you're milking now, would you like to expand, and someday would you like to own your own operation and build your own milking parlor?
Well, I don't plan to expand right now. This is the numbers that I want to stay at right now. And yes, I'd like to, own my own farm and own my own dairy herd, but that's down the road a little ways.
I understand that you milk 3 times a day. What are the times that you milk?
Okay, I milk at 6:30 in the morning and 2:30 in the afternoon and 10:30 at night.
Why 3 times? That's a real rarity anymore.
Okay, we get probably 15% more milk. I feel the udder health is better on the cows when you get the milk out of them more often, and obviously to get more milk is probably the main reason.
You've been able to cut down mastitis problems?
I feel I have. I feel that, of course, we're always going to have mastitis problems, but I feel that I've cut it down substantially.
I understand that you do offer the cows feed while they're here in the milking parlor. Do you try to raise the amount of feed per cow's production?
Yes, I'm on DHIA which is a testing program, and I feed them according to their production.
What kind of production records do you show for this herd?
Right now it's rolling about 18,000 pounds of milk and about 720 of butterfat.
And where would you like to be? That's pretty good even at that.
Well, obviously everybody shoots for 20,000 pounds of milk per year, and that's where I'd like to be at.
How much is your milk going for now?
Approximately about $13.90 a hundredweight.
Can a guy make ends meet with those kind of prices, Ken?
Well, we're making ends meet. It's going to be tough in the future here. It doesn't look like there's going to be an increase in milk price for 2 years, so we'll just have to watch our expenses and try to do the best job we can.
Explain how you buy your feed and roughage to our viewers.
Okay, corn silage and haylage and hay, I buy that by the ton. And of course corn, I buy it by the bushel. And it's on the current market value that I buy it on.
What kind of milking system are you using here?
This is a De La Val double 4 herringbone parlor.
You like this setup?
Yes, I do. I'm comfortable with it.
Would you prefer to be able to bring more cows in per side, or is 4 to the side enough for the one-man operation?
For one man, this is plenty for me. If I had another man in here, I would go to bigger herringbone.
Ken, certainly nice visiting with you, and we're going to go now out to the calf barn and visit with Lois. Lois, certainly nice to know that you directly get involved with this dairy operation. How many calves do you have here now?
We have 10. We're feeding them milk.
And would that be a normal number here in the barn?
That's about right. In the summer, sometimes it's less.
I understand you take a lot of pride in your dairy calves.
Well, that's the start. You've got to have a good calf to have a good cow.
What will you do with the bull calves?
We sell them when they're 3 days old for a beef operation or veal, or to be raised up as steers.
When a cow freshens, how long will you leave these calves on them?
Well, several hours, not real long. You've got to get colostrum into them right away to get them a good start.
And then you switch to a milk replacer, or would you continue with a combination of milk and replacer?
We feed sour colostrum.
How soon do you like to have the heifers into the milk line?
About 2 years. Ken breeds them so they freshen when they're close to 2 years old.
Milk is all gone.
Well, Benjamin's sharing with us that the milk is all gone. And Benjamin, you're absolutely right about that. How many times a day? Do you feed the calves twice a day?
Mm-hmm. In the morning and about 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon.
We'll be back to visit with the young people of the Mountain Gilead FFA right after these messages. We're in Mount Gilead, Ohio at the high school, and we're at the farm shop that was built by members of the FFA, Roger Beck, the advisor. How did you happen to tackle your own project?
Well, I was a student here at Mount Gilead, and we had no facilities then, and they haven't had facilities. And when I came back as a teacher, that was one of my prime objectives, to help the boys and organize and get an ag shop built.
When did this campaign get underway?
Well, it's covered about 3 years in the planning and 1 year for raising the funds, and then last summer the boys and their fathers came in and started putting the shell together that we have here now.
A couple of those FFA members are with us who've been involved in this shop project, Dan Barker and Scott Snyder. Scott, how many FFA members were involved with you in the project?
Oh, in the project there was about 40 FFA members.
And how did you raise the funds, Dan?
Well, we had different things. We did talk to area farmers and got donations from them. We had like 7 $1,000 donors, and also we had a project with the farmers where they donated 1 acre of grain to us at a harvest.
Scott, when did you actually build the shop?
We built a shop last summer.
And again, was it done by FFA members, or again, did the dads get involved?
Well, the dads got involved a little bit, but a lot of it was us and Roger. We did most of the work ourselves.
What kind of value, Dan, do you put on this shop?
It's just one great thing, I think. I mean, we worked on it, well, it's my whole high school year we've worked on it.
Can you put a dollar value on it?
We're raised around $30,000.
Now, Scott, the $30,000, so you are debt-free for what is here. You're going to finish the shop. Who will pay for the equipment to finish off the shop?
The Mount Gilead Board of Education is supposedly going to help us, but we're going to do a lot of it too.
Roger, what's the dimensions of this shop?
We've got 3 30-foot bays, giving us 90 feet in length and 50 feet wide. Then the shop part itself will be 60 by 50, and the classroom will be 30 by 50.
Roger, when do you hope that the board will have it equipped here?
All right, we've used the shop already for just shop and machinery. We hope to be able to come back next fall when school starts with our classroom, heat and insulation in the building.
And how many young people might be able to take advantage of what's available here?
We have 44 in the chapter, and all 44 of them are very active, and I think that all of them will be able to utilize it very well.
Dan Barker, Scott Snyder, our FFA members, and their advisor, Roger Beck, as we visit with you at the farm shop at the Mount Gilead, FFA, Mount Gilead, Ohio.
Next week here on AgriCountry, we're going to take you down to the hills of Fairfield County outside of Sugar Grove for a good old-fashioned hog butchering, a family that's got together there and butchered for many, many years. From there, we're going to travel clear up into Wood County to the beef operation of Tom and Leanne Dirkside. And also next week here on AgriCountry, we will visit with the Ohio JC's outstanding young farmer.
Thank you for joining us today for AgriCountry with Ed Johnson, brought to you in part by Alice Chalmers and your local Alice Chalmers dealer. AgriCountry recognizes farm families who produce daily our abundant food supply.